Good evening, friends. Welcome to all of you for today's Jnanavardhini program. Mr. Adepu Bondaya is a well-known member of our Mumbai chapter, and he's a person with nearly 30 years of experience in the banking field. Then he has moved into the information security area, and today he works for BSI, handles the audit requirements of various under various frameworks. He is also very much interested in writing, and he writes books and other things. So he's a man of versatile capabilities. Today he has chosen to speak about HIPAA violations and what we can learn from that. So I hope we will all benefit by his discussions. So Mr. Adepu, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your kind words. I'm really honored and delighted to associate with FDPPI and on your guidance with other professionals. This is our screen not moving. Why? So FDPPI presents a Jnanavardhini webinar series. Today is the topic I chosen to share some of the openly available incidents of HIPAA violation. So from those violations, how we can learn some lessons to the privacy of the data. So before I start, I would like to present my disclaimer. The information and opinions presented during the session is purely attributable to the presenter, but not to the organization is associated. That is myself. So my employer do not have anything to say on this. That is a matter I want to clear in the beginning. The information and cases mentioned in the session is collected from public domains. Sorry. And authenticity not verified by the presenter. So whatever available in open internet, I collected it and studied to the best of my efforts and put forward for your knowledge. The session is only for the purpose of knowledge sharing and do not mean for any commercial activity. Right. So briefly, my attempt is to mainly to give examples of the HIPAA violation, what happened in the US, and how we can learn the incidents background and looking category everything, but not to give a complete HIPAA overview and its understanding everything. So to some basic things we need to get to know to have the HIPAA. That's why I put this basic history. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is famously known as globally as HIPAA Act, was signed in the year 1996 by the then President Mr. Bill Clinton, which is a federal law. Primarily, its purpose is to ensure the workers in the US to carry their insurance health rights between the jobs and ensure acceptance of the workers' pre-existing health conditions when they move from one job to other job by the insurer. That is the primary purpose, and secondary also aim to protect the privacy and security of the patient's health information. So following the 1996 passing the law, there are subsequent rules have been framed under this law. That is in 2003, there's HIPAA privacy rule, which says how to ensure the privacy of the information. Then in 2005, HIPAA security rule have been promulgated by the authorities there. Then in 2006, HIPAA breach enforcement. In case there's a breach, how to enforce the HIPAA law, HIPAA provisions. These rules have been formed in the 3 different times. HIPAA also governs the health insurance and fraud and tax provisions for the medical savings accounts. This is purely American law and not any other country. And following that, one more as advent of technology, Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Act, famously known as HITECH Act, have been enacted in 2009. This has come into effect from 23rd September 2009 along with the breach notification. Okay. So combining the HIPAA as well as HITECH, all the rules provided under these two acts of the federal law, in 2013, there was a combined rule set have been declared to follow all the stakeholders, that is known as omnibus rule. This omnibus rule is a combination of breach notification of the HITECH and other previous three rules: privacy, security, and breach enforcement rules. Office of the Civil Rights, that is OCR, of the Department of Health and Human Rights, which is a part of the federal government, will monitor and enforce this law. Wherever required, they fine, and they also take the violation remedies as per the law. Apart from the federal level, the state attorneys, each state attorney also definitions will be verified. The law says normal activities creates, maintains, and transmits the PHI. Any entity which is handling with the PHI is called a covered entity, bestowed with the responsibility of implementing the HIPAA. There are few exceptions for this. Most healthcare providers, that is doctors and nurses, employed by a hospital are not covered entities. The hospital is the covered entity and responsible for the implementation and enforcement of the HIPAA compliance policies across the organization. Employers, various organizations which employers as part of their relationship with employees, in case they collect the health information of the people, how they have been treated under the law is maintained here. Despite maintaining healthcare information about their employees, employers are not generally treated as covered entities unless they provide self-insured health cover or benefits such as employment assistance program. In America, different benefit programs are there for employees. If at all any welfare measure called as EAP, as per the definition of the law, such employers are treated as covered entities. In these cases, they are considered as hybrid entities, and any unauthorized disclosure of PHI may still be considered as a breach of the HIPAA. So an employer, even though he is maintaining the health information of the employees by his HR procedures, in case that particular health information get leaked because of their act, knowingly, unknowingly, then that company also will come under the HIPAA Act provisions. Then the other side of the covered entity is business associate, is a person or a business entity that provides a service to or performs a certain functions or activity for a covered entity when the service, function, or activity involve the business associate having access to PHI maintained by the covered entities. So they normally, our third parties and vendors, what we call in general terms, they are called business associate in this particular law. Examples of business associates include lawyers, accountants, IT contractors, billing companies, cloud storage services, email encryption services, etc. So all these who are going to transmit the health information are also called as business associates. Before having access to PHI, the business associate must sign a business associate agreement with a covered entity stating what PHI they can access, how it is to be used, and that it will be returned or destroyed when the assignment is concluded. So these are the very critical provisions the agreement should contain in the relationship doing the processing, data processing, whatever the purpose is being given. While the PHI is in the business associate's possession, the business associate has the same responsibilities of HIPAA as per the covered entities, or the covered entities equal. Here, this act says whether you are a business associate or a covered entity, HIPAA applicable to all the provisions of the thing. We don't have a distinction between a processor and a data controller. Now, as per the HIPAA compliance is required, HIPAA compliance involve fulfillment of requirements of the HIPAA Act 1996, in subsequent amendments, and the other law, which is High-Tech Act, to promote and adopt the meaningful use of health information technologies. Now, nowadays, technology playing the major role in all the businesses. This is a more emphasis on the High-Tech Act implementation during the HIPAA compliance requirement. There are three types of safeguards covered in the HIPAA security rule. There are technical safeguards, physical safeguards, and administrative safeguards that we'll see in future. There is one specific stipulation in the is that EPHI, electronic predictive health information, whether at rest or in transmit, must be encrypted as per the NIST standards, because NIST is American standard developed by the government entity. Any encryption technology with whoever use it, they should follow the NIST standard encryption advices. Yeah. Now, enforcement part, HIPAA was an attempt by US Congress to improve efficiency in healthcare, eliminate the wastage, combat frauds, ensure that the health information that can be tied to an individual and would allow them to be identified as protected and kept private and confidential. The HIPAA regulations are enforced by the US Department of Health and Human Services. Their office, what we call Office of the Civil Rights, OCR, while state attorney generals can also take action against the parties discovered that not to be in compliance with the HIPAA. So state level, a person, any individual who got affected with the violation can report to the local attorney. So attorney will initiate the appropriate action under the law. Self-insuring and Indian intermediary employers and PHI that is protected by the HIPAA privacy rules, they are considered as virtual entities, like a information carrier from point to point in telecommunication lines or the carriers, they comes under the virtual entities, and they also need to comply with the HIPAA compliance requirements. So the safeguards what we mentioned earlier, there are two different categories. One is required safeguards and other is addressable safeguard. The difference between the required safeguard and addressable safeguard is that the HIPAA compliance checklist that is required safeguards must be implemented. Required is a must. Addressable is dependent upon the various other factors where they can implement or not implement. The decision will depend upon the factors such as entities, risk analysis, risk mitigation strategy, and what other security measures they are already implemented in place in their procedures. These are the two different applicable things. The decision must be documented in writing and include the factors that were considered, as well as the results of the risk assessment on which the decision was based. So risk assessment and its recording is very important to be compliant with the HIPAA requirements. Now there are two examples I picked up for to illustrate the technical safeguards. Implement a means for access control. Access control to PHI has to be implemented is a must. Introduce a mechanism to authenticate the EPHI. This is addressable depending upon other conditions whether to implement or not is a discretion of the organization. Implements tools for encryption and decryption. This is addressable but need to follow whenever encryption is there. It has to be done. I don't know why it's been told is addressable, whereas encryption is a must as per the standard.
Absolutely.
Introduce activity logs and audit controls. This is a must. Facilitate automatic log off of PCs or systems and devices. This is addressable. These are the technical part. Now, as far as the physical security safeguards are concerned, facility access controls must be implemented. Policies for the usage and the repositioning of the workstations, very important. This has come out as a safeguard based on one case law which happened in that we'll see in future. policy and procedure for the mobile devices. This is also a requirement, a must to be implemented. Inventory of hardware where the systems are being implemented. Then under the administrative safeguards, conduct risk assessment is a must. Introduce a risk management policy, also a must. Training of employees to be secure, it can be addressable one. Developing a contingency plan is a must. Testing of the contingency plan is addressable. Restricting the third-party access is a requirement. And reporting security incidents is addressable. Now we'll come to the very breaches and some cases. And these are the major industry well-known organizations in the USA which has faced the HIPAA violation and penalties. January 2009, CVS Pharma Incorporation is ordered to pay 2.25 million for the improperly disposing of the patient health data. And the second case is in July 2010, the Connecticut Attorney General ordered Health Net Incorporation to pay $250,000 for loss of an unencrypted hard disk containing PHI of 1.5 million persons. This is a huge case where the attorney imposed a huge penalty on the company. In July 2016, Catholic Healthcare Services of Philadelphia agreed to pay an amount of 6.5 million lakhs to settle a HIPAA violation case. These are the well-known organizations in the US, and CVS Pharma is less like our Apollo Pharma. Every city we can find a CVS Pharma. This is the primary case for me when I was in 2007, when I was in USA with my daughter. This happened. It be covered in the media, American media, very high pitch. Athena is an insurance provider in America. In July 2017, current and former customers of Athena, the nation's third largest health insurance company, were alarmed when they received a letter with a large transparent windows that accidentally revealed that the recipients were prescribed HIV medicines. So the insurance company has sent the communication to the insured people in a big, large transparent cover. So that cover has been exposed in certain information which anybody can see at the look of the cover. So further, the interesting case is a group, action group. In America, these action groups are very active. They go on looking for the opportunities to take the people to court and get the damages, everything. So there is a project in Pennsylvania called AIDS Law Project, run by the Legal Action Center. And Berger and Montague, a law firm, they filed a lawsuit in August 2017 in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. The plaintiffs included the people taking medication to treat HIV, as well as people who pre-exposed to the drug prophylactic is a drug which will be preventing the HIV. So these people, the law firm and action center, they combed entire USA and collected the details of the people who got affected with this particular letters postage, communication postage, and they combined filed a lawsuit in the court. Athena improperly sent it to legal counsel and a mail vendor the names of 13,487 customers who had been prescribed HIV medicine. Of these, 11,870 people received a large windowed envelope revealing the confidential HIV-related information. All this came to light in the media after the case was filed in the court, and the court has openly tried this particular case. Athena has agreed to pay 17 millions, I don't know what is the amount, 17, okay, so 100,000, 1,71,61,200 to resolve the claims. All settlement class members will automatically receive a base payment of $75 each to those who health information was allegedly improperly disclosed by the Athena, to its legal counsel and mail vendor, or at least $500, including the $75 payout, to those received the large windows. There is a very clear decision by the court. The people who got large windows will be paid a higher amount, and other people whose data was disclosed also paid some of the settlement money. This is a very big loss to the company just because of improper handling of the communication. Now, the second case is there is a Chinese cardiologist by employed in 2023 at UCLA, that is University of California, Los Angeles Healthcare System, as a researcher with the UCLA School of Medicine. On October 29, 2003, Mr. Zhou received a notice of intent to dismiss him from the UCLA healthcare job because of the underperformance, but not because of the case. He has got a notice from the company, the organization, saying that you are likely to be dismissed. Please give explanation. Then Zhou accessed the UCLA patient records systems of 323 times during the 3 weeks period after he received the notice. He collected the critical information from the systems. With most of the accesses involve well-organized, well-recognized celebrities. So he has done with this is intentionally to, anyway, he's going to be dismissed. So then he had attempted this matter. Zhou was sentenced to 4 months in jail and a $2,000 fine. The data he accessed having a lot of celebrities like Arnold, yes, I tell only that much, Drew Barrymore, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Tom Hanks. All these celebrities in the Hollywood, their information is with this medical center. There is one more case also will come on one of the celebrities of America. Now this one is a complaint was filed by a New Jersey Attorney General Office on April 7, 2017. New Jersey-based psychologist Dr. Barry Halpman has been accused of failing to prevent patient mental health diagnosis and treatment details from being leaked. And ironically, this case happened in 2017. The same doctor, he has filed a case in 2010 to the safeguard of the patient's data. According to the case files, Dr. Hoffman's employees regularly forward the past due patient bills to a collection fund. When the patient don't pay the bill and it becomes a past due, is a pending bill to be collected from the patients. The true bill thus discloses the patient's authentication, identification, dates of the service, CPT codes. CPT codes is the health. Depending on the code, we can find out what is the disease and diagnosis details and CATAS information. The entire information is the file they forward to the collection agents. So the collection agents do not have any matter about most of the information shared. So that's why it became very clear case of a HIPAA violation. As a result, the state of New Jersey sought to suspend and revoke the Hoffman's license. I think this was suspended. I didn't get the further details on this. And here is a rare example of criminal charges brought against an individual for an alleged HIPAA violation. From December 2012 to January 2013, Joshua Hippler was an employee of a covered entity under HIPAA in Texas. During that period, HIPAA obtained protected health information with intent to use it for personal gain. Hippler was indicted by a federal grand jury on May and March 2026, 2014. Joshua Hippler, Texas, pleaded guilty on hearing on 28 August 2014 for wrongfully accessing the individual identified health information and was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison by U.S. District Judge Leonardo Davis. Even though the employee has been went out of employment, but the judiciary has penalized the person for the violation. In 2014, a pharmacist Andra Withers with Walgreens company, this is a pharmacy company, allegedly reviews the prescription records of a woman named Abigail Hinchey who had a child with her husband earlier. With her shared information she found, including Hinch's social security number with her husband, who then gave the information to three other people. The husband was allegedly collecting the information to be sued against the Hinche in a paternity law case. So this is a very complex case. The lady shared the information with her husband. He was contemplating to file a suit against his previous wife for the paternity case. When Hinche complained to the Walgreens officials, Vitas received a written warning and she will have to retake a training program about HIPAA rules. Walgreens has paid rupees $1.4 million to settle the case. For a inadvertent act, this is a huge amount paid by the company. Here, Jimmy Knapp, what is the name, is a respiratory therapist. He's an employee of the ProMedica Bay Park Hospital in Ohio. He accessed 596 medical records in a 10-month period from 2012 to 13. Knapp was authorized to review the records of the as per her job, but only for those patients he is giving the treatment, not any patient in the hospital. Allegedly, she viewed the files of all untreated patients also. The prosecutor, in asking for a prison sentence, argued that Ms. Napa was attempting to identify the ProMedica drug details in an effort to steal the narcotics either for herself or for use of sale. So the prosecutor accused that she is attempting to find out the drugs which are of narcotic values, so that those drugs can be picked up from their respective beds and used for her own purpose or for sale. In October 2016, a federal judge sentenced the therapist for 2 years prohibition, a $500 fine, and 1 day in jail for the records snooping. This is a very interesting case. A nurse in a New York clinic found herself at the center of the ugly HIPAA violation case when her sister-in-law's boyfriend was diagnosed with a STD in her clinic. The nurse sent 6 text messages warning the man's girlfriend, her sister-in-law, about the disease this fellow having in the hospital. The man sued the clinic even though it had already been dismissed the employee. The trial court judge dismissed the claim on ground that the nurse actions were both unforeseeable and based on the personal reasons. The plaintiff has appealed the decision. This is one HIPAA lawsuit example that seems unavoidable, with the caveat that the clinic could have prevented the nurse from treating a close personal acquaintance. This is very interesting. I don't know what type of implications we have in India in such cases. A female employee at a mid-sized clinic was peripherally involved in a lawsuit when a car accident victim sued her husband. When the plaintiff became a patient at the clinic, the employee picked the patient's personal file and gave the private information to her husband. Then the husband called the plaintiff and demanded that the lawsuit against the company to be dropped. The plaintiff quickly called the clinic and Attorney General's office to complain. The employee faced a $2.5 lakh fine and up to 10 years of imprisonment. I don't have much detail because I searched for this particular case where the person who accessed the record shared with her husband. The husband told the patient to withdraw the case. That basis is how the information gone to the husband, who is nowhere connected to the health system. Under that case also, the HIPAA violation has been proved. The clinic's head doctor fired the employee and immediately called a staff meeting on the importance of HIPAA compliance and all the security measures. Now, in 2016, an orthopedic clinic hired an outsider vendor to convert all X-ray films to digital form, then harvest the silver from the films. That is an engineer service, but since that clinic did not first sign a BAE, business associate agreement with the vendor, they violated HIPAA, and the OCR ordered the clinic to pay $750,000 as a fine and implement a corrective action. Because X-ray clinic has been exposed without agreement, that is a clear case of HIPAA violation. Can a waiting room cause a HIPAA violation? This is a very interesting to understand. It happened in this case when a staff member talked with a patient about the procedures for the HIV testing, thereby disclosing the protected health information to others in the waiting room. The waiting room setup also allowed patients to see PHI displayed on the employee computer screens. After an OCR investigation, staff are required to take a regular HIPAA training, and computer monitors have been repositioned so that the data on the screens cannot be exposed to outside unauthorized access exposure. So you're casually explaining in the waiting room also become a HIPAA violation. And this is some other variety. In 2013,
can we have some discussions, Repu?
Sir, will you have an answer?
No. I just have left time for discussions.
We have time now. Now what is the time?
Okay.
37, 7:37 only. We have another just 10 cases. It will be concluding within 10 minutes. Yes. Now in 2013, an HIV positive patient asked an officer manager at a urology clinic to fax his medical records to his new urologist, new doctor. He shifted doctor from one doctor to the other doctor. Instead of the very busy office manager accidentally faxed them to his new employer. Instead of the urologist, he sent to the patient's new employer. It was simply because of a number mix-up, but despite heartfelt apologies from the manager and the urologist, the patient was not mollified. He reported the incident to, and the practice was investigated by the OCR. Luckily, the result of the investigation was a sternly worded warning to the doctor and the clinic, and a mandate for the regular HIPAA training for all the employees have been imposed on the clinic. At Carilion Clinic in Rockin, Virginia, the hospital caught 14 employees who have improperly viewed the medical files of a high-profile patient without a legitimate medical need. The clinic caught the employees thanks to the logging system on their IT backend. The system tracks and records all accesses to files containing the PHI. All the 14 employees were dismissed from their jobs. While that is admirable, a better solution might have been to inform the employees beforehand that there is a logging system exists. It will monitor, thus snooping or accessing any unauthorized files is a violation. And a regular warning to employees is important in such cases. On October 2nd, 2014, healthcare system officials discovered that a staff member of the hospital had been snooping into the electronic medical records of the patients from January 2011 through June 2014. It's a long time unauthorized access. After a probe in November 2014, Cleveland University Hospitals notified a HIPAA privacy breach to the authorities, informing that one of their employees was caught snooping the confidential medical records. The staff member, whose employment has since been terminated, was able to gain unfettered access to the patient's names, medical diagnoses, health insurance numbers, date of birth, home address, additional treatment data, social security numbers, financial data, credit card information, driver license, everything. And this is another interesting case. In 2015, Catherine Trump, an employee at the University of the Iowa Student Health Center, expressed her surprise about the result of a high-profile student athlete's pregnancy. So she's an employee in a hospital, healthcare center opposed to university. when she found that one of the athletic lady, she has a pregnancy positive test, she just publicly exclaimed, "Oh, how come this?" Despite the years of HIPAA compliance training, the employee made a seemingly innocent comment about hoping that the young couple will be happy to know the information. But other employees around her has reported this to management. Then she has to face a HIPAA violation procedure. Doctors and employees filed the Britney Spears HIPAA case. Sometimes tempting to peek into the high-profile records will be very attractive to the people by their nature. This is a very interesting case where the people try to access the Britney Spears medical records. This was the case where 6 doctors and 13 employees at UCLA, that is University of California, Los Angeles Medical Center, viewed the Britney Spears medical records after her 2008 psychiatric hospitalization. Many of the employees were non-medical staff, and none of them had a legitimate medical need to view the particular PHI. HIPAA violation of this nature could be all but eliminated by following the IT concept called principle of least privilege. Especially this particular case of the Britney Spears has been proved by FBI because she's a very celebrity. She's a songwriter and an actor in Hollywood. And further, a cardiac monitoring vendor got a HIPAA hot water when a laptop containing hundreds of patients' medical records was stolen from his parked car. The OCR reached a settlement of $2.5 million with the vendor, demonstrating that the federal government is extremely aggressive in prosecuting HIPAA cases involving the third parties and the portable digital media. A healthcare worker at a Washington State Medical Center was filed in 2017 for improperly accessing over 600 confidential patient health records. The medical center discovered the breach during a routine audit. The employee viewed the information like address, phone numbers, diagnosis, and the social security numbers of the patients. This is a discovery of a company's internal routine audits, which they conduct as a part of their regular mechanism to monitor. In 2017, a HIPAA violation resulted in the firing of a medical employee after she posted about a patient on Facebook. The 24-year-old medical technician commented on a post about a patient killed in a car accident using the words, "should have been worn her seat belt." This is only a comment on a Facebook post. While the comment seems innocent and even public, it is disclosed a PHI about a patient's how the patient got hurt in the accident. All these treated as a PHI. The employee later told the reporter she was fired for a HIPAA violation, so the hospital declined the comment. In 2013, an ABC reality TV show called New Way Med filmed 2 hospital patients without their consent. During the filming, one of the patients actually died. The OCR investigated the case and found that the hospital gave the ABC TV company an unfettered access to record in the hospital, creating a situation where the protection of the PHS was not possible. The hospital paid a $2.2 million settlement amount and instituted a further corrective action plan in the hospital procedures. This is the new technology outcome. In 2016, a cardiology group with 5 physicians on a staff paid $1 million HIPAA settlement involving an online calendar. By posting the surgical and clinical appointments on a public internet access calendar, the clinic was found in violation of the HIPAA. So that new technology, cloud-based technology, helping to post the appointment details for the patients in the open system, that creates a problem. The cloud offers an ever-evolving selection of efficiency, improving the tools But along with these new efficiencies comes emerging privacy pitfalls. So these are the 20 cases I just put it. Now, from these cases, just I summarize this learning. The more important learning is awareness to the handle PHI. It may employees or doctors or whoever it is, whoever into the business of handling or accessing the PHI should be always be aware how to handle, what to access, what not to access, and to have an agreement with the partners. This is when we are doing a lot of outsourcing and where is the chain of supply chain and the service chain. In every level, we need to have an agreement which will enforce entire HIPAA rules. And further, from the peculiar cases, what we are seeing, we know where we are standing with the PHI, what we are going to do. Just casual talks will also going to create a problem in a public environment. What we are talking about a PHI, with whom we are talking. A patient came just to know what is the procedure. When we discuss procedure, that became a HIPAA case. Safety of the media containing the EPHI, that is a case of a laptop and a hard and law does not recognize personal relations. Sharing the information with the personal relations like family members also result in HIPAA violation. Close monitoring of all the concerned. The organizations has to closely monitor in all privacy information, maybe health information or the financial information. That is one of the learning from these few cases what we have verified. I review the access rights, who are accessing from the back end. And particularly admin access is a very, very critical, because the people with admin access have the every right to do anything with the data. Not only just to watch, they can destroy, they can modify the data. These are the few things which I could put here at the end of my presentation. And I thank all of you for your timing, for your time and being with me to know these cases. And anything we want to discuss is open, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, now I completed. If any discussion
okay.
we can have.
Let's go for some discussions.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to discuss is this sister-in-law's husband case. Okay.
Sir.
You just open that. There is a nurse who had a sister-in-law.
Yeah, exactly.
Whose boyfriend was.
That is HIV case.
Say.
No, not is HIV.
Any comments on this from people?
I just come to that.
Can anybody compare it with the current privacy laws like HIPAA and see how, like GDPR, and draw any comparisons? This was the case where this was the one, yeah. That is, somebody comes to know that a person has got AIDS, okay? And if we
no, sir, this is not AIDS, sir. This is STD. The person came to hospital with STD.
Okay, okay. Some disease, okay. Now, then this person is likely to infect another person, okay. A reasonable assumption in the current case.
Yeah.
Okay. So this nurse has tried to warn the other person. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now, can anybody say, is there any, GDPR related
ground
discussion on this? Yeah.
Sir, here the man has choose a clinic.
No, say in GDPR and others, now most of the laws says that sometimes a certain you can say relaxations are permitted when the vital interest of any data subject is involved. It is not only the interest of the particular data subject, if somebody else's data, vital interests are involved, there is some provisions in some of the acts. I was just trying to say that in this particular case, perhaps there was a reasonable ground for this particular argument to have been used. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, right, Navi Sahab. So we also have that case in India, which is that famous one, X versus Hospital Z or something.
Yeah.
There also Supreme Court said the same thing. You know, same disclosure happened and to a relative, and finally Supreme Court said, you know, the safety of the other person is paramount. So there is nothing wrong if the privacy or the fundamental right of this person has been overridden by that disclosure.
Yeah.
What
See,
is case, sir?
happened in HIPAA was
Mr. X versus Hospital Z.
Okay.
Yeah. See, in HIPAA, what has happened is, because when HIPAA was imposing all these fines, there was no GDPR kind of a thing. So HIPAA was more or less unchallenged. So there have been many instances where, if you look at it little more thought, perhaps you feel that there was some wrong with the decision.
So
Yeah.
Mr. Navi sir, Ramesh here.
Yeah.
I feel the only problem here is that hospital did not do this. This is like a nurse at her individual level. She had done it probably. Now, what you are trying to correlate with the GDPR, one of the legitimate interest, right? Apart from the consent, vital interest could be, or etc. you are trying to. But in this case, if the hospital has done what Mr. Prakash is talking about, like Supreme Court had said, it is possible, it is okay, because hospital doing it, or the health agent.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Ramesh.
Look at the principle, no?
Yeah.
Look at the principle as an individual who respects human rights.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to know that there is an information which is harmful to somebody else, who may be your relative, who may not be your relative.
Correct.
Okay. In this case, it is a relative. Now, how far this law of privacy should be imposed on such a situation is a matter of debate. Are we blindly following certain things, kind of a thing? Okay. Just a thought I got about that.
So I think in this case, the law HIPAA is looking only at disclosure of the medical information, but purpose it didn't look at. What purpose? What is happened is that somebody got affected or not. Here, I say all these cases, the affected party's loss has not been defined. Now in our Indian PDPA, there is an arm concept.
Yeah.
The person whether he got any level of harm or damage or loss, that is coming into view. Here, that is not there.
Now, privacy laws will have to always look at balancing the interests of the society.
Yeah.
And if that balancing requires the welfare of somebody else, that should be taken into account. In fact, even in HIPAA also, disclosures are permitted in circumstances where there is a public health concern or something, a pandemic kind of a thing. Okay. In this particular case, it is another individual who has been perhaps put into some kind of a risk. Okay. So anyway.
Sir, also one more point, sir, that 18th case, what he talked about, okay?
Yeah.
That is quite interesting. That nurse, in the Facebook, just she had said that, in one of the discussion, it was a casual discussion, okay?
Correct.
I don't think that this need to go into this level in my understanding. Correct, no, Prakash, sir?
Sir, Ramesh and sir, see here, everything, when you go to court or the attorney, the way we put for the case, the decision will come.
Yeah.
That is on the law forums I see. How effective you put it, what level of argument you put across,
Correct.
you not lose the case.
Yeah,
the question is, was this a PHI? Say, after all, what does HIPAA say?
Absolutely.
The PHI should be protected.
Correct.
Now, wearing the seat belt, can you equate it to PHI?
No way.
Does it talk about the health information of the past, present, future?
Correct.
Of a person? Okay. somehow I'm not fully convinced
True,
about it.
true.
Many
Yeah.
cases like that, sir. Many cases like that. So finally, this came into public domain because the individual was being come under HIPAA breaches.
That nurse was sacked immediately. I am aware of this case. That's why I could remember this 18. And it was a big debate, sir, on this, Navi sir. And same point what you said, that where is the PHI here? Where is the PHI? She has not used that person's name, the disease, nothing. She said that person could, and it was a closed forum, I believe, closed user group rather. Yeah.
Sir, Facebook is a 10 people or 10,000 people, same, sir. Public.
No. Sir, you have your own group of people, right? I view it publicly is totally different. This lady, when she had commented, she has sent to some person whom she knows. It is not that she had opened a public domain comment there. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, any other case of interest?
So the number one is very interesting because
Just quickly
posting the letter.
we will look at it. Another point which we have seen in HIPAA is when penalties are imposed, the penalty covers not only the suspected harm or something like that, but also the damages which arise because of the identity theft which would have happened and the insurance which would have been required or something like that. This one, of course, this envelopes. There was also another
beautiful
case where this has happened in India in the Airtel case also. That is, there was an objection to Airtel sending telephone bills in open this window covers. Then I think now they have of course stopped all the postal these things, but a similar complaint had been raised. So as I was telling, some of these HIPAA decisions were at the early stage of development of jurisprudence in a way. So there were a lot of issues. There was a case where a courier kept the box outside the door of an addressee because it was locked, and that was considered as a violation of HIPAA. Yeah. So there are a lot of things. Of course, these are all lessons to be learned by various people who handle it. And I think the other one which you said that was that filming by a TV crew on the hospital. Okay. One of the objections raised there was that the hospital gave permission to the TV crew, and when they went around with the camera, obviously some patients' faces became visible. Whoever was in that area was, of course, captured by the camera, though you are not interviewing them. When you are showing one patient, there is another patient by his side or wherever it is. And that was considered as a violation because the hospital gave permission for the a documentary to be made. I don't know whether this is the same case, but I had come across another case where a documentary was being made, which means that it was meant for education. A documentary is not a commercial kind of a thing. It was being made, and hospital had given the permission, and this was one of the violations which the hospital had to take. Yeah. Then,
sir, here, sir, in this case, case number 19, they filmed without consent of the patients. Now,
that is true. I understand that. The hospital administration gave the permission for the TV crew to do some filming. Okay. They should have perhaps told the patients that tomorrow there will be a filming of the hospital, please close your room or something like that, or give consent.
Not only that, sir, in the admission procedure, they were told it. He is subject to be, we have the authority to.
Yeah, this could have been handled by the hospital. Hospital could have handled this, but anyway, at least now our people will be careful about it.
Sir, Anand here, one question. Will the pharmacies be covered as like a covered entity?
Yes. Pharmacies are part of the covered entities.
Okay.
And there was one case in which a pharmacy was throwing away bottles of prescription into the dustbin without removing the label. And one TV channel like our TV9 and other these things, they filmed that and said that here is a bottle, the name of the patient is there, etc. And because of which that entire chain of pharmacy stores were imposed very heavy fines. I don't remember the name of that, but
Yes, the CVS has been fined.
on the disposal of this thing. Maybe this is the same thing, disposal of prescription related bottles or something like that. Okay. Then something else of interest. Any other questions from anybody?
Any contributions from anybody? Sir, based on this, we need to now build a cases which will be on the privacy. How these type of situations will affect the privacy of the personal data.
Yeah. Of course, privacy and failure of security also is there, leading to privacy. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead with some other case. Just scroll down.
This is
Now,
okay. Case, sir. This is
Surgeons intends to.
he intentionally accessed the data set here. This fellow,
Okay.
when he got the notice from the
Okay,
hospital,
there must be some ancillary information also in this of how we try to misuse or something like that, because a criminal sentence under HIPAA is done by the FTC and is not very common anyway, unless there is a prima facie evidence of malicious intention.
so this particular medical system is treating the very high-profile people in California, UCLA.
Yeah, I understand.
That's the reason. And this fellow has accessed the record after knowing that he's going to be dismissed.
Okay. Anyway,
Is there
only
any measure?
$2,000 fine and only 4 months jail. So it was just a kind of a warning.
That is in
English
2003.
standards, $2,000 fine is not much. Okay, next.
2003, sir. That is early days of the implementation.
Okay. Next.
This is a New Jersey attorney. This is a medical nurse. She intentionally she accessed this.
Okay.
Joe
Okay, it was used for personal gain. Fine. Okay, next.
Pharmacist.
Pharmacist.
The pharmacy company. Walgreens is a pharmacy company.
Okay.
She shared information with her husband.
Okay. She assisted in that. This thing.
This is a therapist in Ohio. She accessed the records of the 10 months
But
period.
this also must be having some other information. There are otherwise it has been extended to some narcotics and other things. Okay, we don't have.
Sir, no, sir, this is the prosecutor. The accused it. He not proved it. He said this is maybe a narcotic case. To make it no liars can. In America, the there are some groups, legal groups or interest groups. What do we call interest group? They always look for the opportunities to exploit and bring the cases.
Yeah. See,
That's what the Athena case happened.
saying that the access control system failed in most of the cases because it was not maintained on need to know basis.
Yeah.
There was one laptop theft case where the information was not encrypted. So if the information had been encrypted, even if the laptop had been lost, there would have been no.
Correct. So many of the cases directly relating to the failure of the technical control, sir. Correct.
Yeah,
Access control, principle of least privilege, physical security, and encryption.
When we talk of lawsuits, I remember one case in which a hospital was defending a complaint. The hospital had been accused that they had wrongly diagnosed a lady that she was having cancer. Okay, she didn't have cancer. Okay, so the hospital gave a defense argument in which they gave the report of 4 or 5 people whom the laboratory had submitted, stating that what had happened was only an error. Over a period of 1 year, 4 or 5 similar cases has happened. So statistically, some error has happened. We are not responsible. That was the response given by the hospital to the lady who had filed a case. But that lawyer, when he presented it into the court, he also had with him that it was not only his client who was diagnosed wrongly. There were at least 4 other names of patients who had also been wrongly diagnosed. And you know, in America, the lawyer himself will go and file a case against the hospital. So while defending the case, the company or the hospital failed to redact the unnecessary information, and in trying to prove to the court that this is only 5 cases out of 10,000 cases that mistake has happened, and therefore it should be excused or something like that. That was the kind of argument they wanted to present. But in doing so, they didn't see that there was they were releasing some additional information. So the people who are regular lawyers and others, they also ought to have looked at the consequences of presenting an evidence in a court, which incidentally gave an opportunity for more legal cases to be filed against their client. I think that was interesting from that point of view.
Learnings.
Yeah. Okay, this I think fine. Next, stolen laptop I've already discussed.
This is a celebrity case.
Okay, this is access control we already said. Fine. Any other questions from people?
Out of these 20 cases, most of cases came because of awareness, lack of awareness on the people who are in the health information.
If anybody wants to raise a question, they can unmute and raise the question.
But quite interesting, Adapu sir, that HIPAA being there since 1996, number 1, number 2, the kind of technology what they have, and they still in 2020 we are talking about awareness as an issue. It's really a case actually.
I mean, that is always going to be there. Even another 25 years or 50 years, the people's the inquisitiveness to see celebrities' data, and now after Facebook, now this Facebook and all this social media has increased actually. Earlier, this tendency was not there. Now, what happening? TV shows. And the Big Boss, no?
Fines are being also imposed on business associates. Earlier, it was only on the covered entities. Covered entities had to recover whatever they want from the business associates. Now, as far as business associates coming under the jurisdiction of HHS, which is a business associate who is located within the geographical boundaries of US, they are directly coming under the HHS and HIPAA High-Tech Act. Whereas my view is that the subcontractors who are outside the legal jurisdiction of US, they have to be still called subcontractors, not business associates. So if there is an Indian company which is contractually processing information for a US covered entity or a US business associate, it would not be correct for us to classify this Indian company as a business associate, but to treat him as a subcontractor where the liabilities flow through the contract. Now, others, if they have got any different views on this, you can express, but this is my view, which is also applicable in the GDPR data controller, data processor kind of a situation. Yeah.
How this situation differs from the...
Navi sir,
yeah.
Navi sir, what is the, suppose that this Indian company is in fact a business associate, how does it change its liabilities? Because business associate, you can also have business associate agreements, right?
No, in the case of Indian company, the HHS cannot come and audit an Indian company and impose a fine directly on the Indian company.
Correct.
They can fine the US company for having appointed a contractor who has failed. Okay. And
Right.
the US company, whether it's a covered entity or the upstream business associate, has to recover the damages from the Indian company through the contractual indemnity clause. That is the only point I want to make. So we cannot give jurisdiction to a foreign organization like HHS on an Indian soil. No, there is a
Correct.
process for that.
Correct.
Okay.
Agreed, sir.
Yeah. So, but when we normally use the term business associate, sometimes companies think that they are business associates, therefore, because they sign an agreement which somebody has put a heading, business associate agreement. No. So, yes, people will think they are business associates, but they should remember that the liability flows through the contract, not directly in the act. Okay. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Adepo doesn't agree with it. I know. I can make out from your face.
Sir, how the difference the contract and this business association agreement? Both are same, no?
No, both are not same. See, direct liability to the HHS as an authority of the US is one. Now, contractual liability to another business entity is different. You may say that in the contract also, you may say whatever is the HIPAA liability on me, entire thing you indemnify. Therefore, the financial, this thing can still pass through, but still enforcement will be different. Enforcement is like an international contract. Minal, do you agree?
The lawyers has to clarify, sir.
Yeah, I think some lawyers can comment on that.
Vinay sir is there.
Yeah, Babu.
To stop.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, what is the question?
No, Mr. Adepo was asking that how is it different whether the liability comes directly as a business associate and you call Indian company also as a business associate, or call the Indian company as a subcontractor of a US covered entity.
See, Adepo sir, nomenclature will not matter at all. What matters is how the liability flows. Whether if you are covered by the statute, then the authority under the statute can go after you directly. But if you are not covered under the statute, then the other way to cover yourself is under the contract. Now, under the Indian IT Act also, it is prescribed that you have to follow all the provisions also. So, even the Indian IT Act says that even if you are not covered by HIPAA, even then, if you are call it by whatever name, business associate, contractor, whatever, if you are contractually liable, then instead of the authority going after you, the person who is on the other side of the contract will go after you.
But as per my understanding, the HIPAA on the ground it is business associate or a covered entity at the same level.
Because of the High Tech Act, the omnibus rule.
Omnibus rule.
Omnibus rule.
Applies to a business associate in USA.
In the US.
What I'm saying.
Correct. So business associate who's established in the US will be covered by the statute. However, a business associate, we are just getting confused with the nomenclature. If you are in India, agar aap India mein hai, then you are not covered under the statute. You are governed by the contractual obligation.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, maybe in the High Tech Act. I'm not sure.
No, it is a normal contract.
It is the
Normal contract.
Like this is how it will function. This is so basically, if you are not covered under the contract, you can under the act you can still be made liable through a contract to follow the same things, and then there'll be an indemnity.
Okay.
Adepo sir, I am aware of a case wherein the US guy here in Bangalore, they are working for them.
Okay.
Now, as per their contract between the US company and the organization in Bangalore, the US company has clearly said the Bangalore Offshore Development Center need to adhere to all the HIPAA rules provided by them. So the US company dumps in all that, etc. through the contract, number one. Number two, they also have once in a year minimum, wherein they come here and then do a perfect audit. Perspective, you do an internal audit as what if any standard doesn't matter. customer audit is given as part of the contract. So they ensure that these guys sitting in Bangalore, number one, they are aware of KIPPA. The awareness training is given, mandatory training apart from the organizational trainings, and they do enforce all the HIPAA rules, technical controls, and then they come and do an audit.
Right.
That's how they take it.
Okay, Lemay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you
So,
have any comments you can make, otherwise you can give your closing comments.
yeah. So it was a very wonderful session and participated by all. So I first thank Mr. Adeppu for doing great research work and provided a great food for thought for those who are appearing for module G, because
I didn't want to
because
yeah. Come.
yeah, because it is one of the topics for the upcoming examination. So it made a revision for at least one
Okay.
part of that particular examination. For that, I am specifically thanking Mr. Adeppu for choosing this topic prior to examination. And I also thank his valuable inputs, which will be helpful to all other participants also. On behalf of FDPPI, I thank all the participants and just appeal that all should be more active in their participation and spread by word of mouth that how these sessions are beneficial for adding our knowledge, which is the main motto of our Jnanvardhini series. So thank you all and good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.